Everyone fails. But while most people spend weeks mourning a setback, high performers have a secret psychological shock absorber that allows them to bounce back in minutes. It's not about being tough or emotionless, it's about being anti-fragile. Today, we are decoding the science of resilience. I'll show you how to rewrite your brain's reaction to failure so that every hit you take actually makes you stronger and faster. The fragility trap: why your brain sees every mistake as a permanent disaster. When you slip up, the brain tends to treat the moment like a warning flare. The threat system lights up, and the mind jumps to a worst-case narrative. That is the fragility trap in action. A single mistake is seen as a permanent disaster, not a rough patch. Your built-in reflex wants to protect you, so it latches onto one wrong turn and whitewashes the rest. The fix begins with recognizing that distress, not denying it, then softening its grip with a simple tool called the emotional shock absorber. It acts like a cushion that dampens the sting so you can see options again. A missed shot, a failed presentation, a plan that derailed, these aren't verdicts on you. They are data points in a long season of effort. Yet the mind can turn data into doom. The feeling of failure swells, and the narrative grows claws. I am not good enough. This ruins everything. The shock absorber helps because it lets you name the pressure without surrendering to it. You acknowledge the disappointment, then shift attention to what still works and what can be tried next. It is a small pause that prevents a big crash. With practice, the mind learns to soften the impact of a stumble instead of letting it crash the entire day. The bounce-back cycle is a practical loop you can ride again and again. First comes a setback, clearly felt but quickly bounded. Then you pause to breathe and name the emotion. Next, you reframe the moment from a verdict to a solvable problem. After that, you choose one tiny action you can do right away, even if it's just a 10-minute effort. You repeat that action, observe what happens, and adjust. This cycle is not magic. It is a repeatable pattern that trains your brain to recover faster. Think of it as tuning a piano. You press a key, you listen, you adjust, and the sound sharpens over time. The antifragile spring is the idea that stress, when met with quick recovery, makes you stronger. Small shocks, handled well, build tolerance. You want training that increases your capacity to rebound, not just endure. Regular exposure to manageable challenges, practice under pressure, quick recovery drills, honest feedback feeds this spring. Add rests that restore, not just pause, and you gain resilience that shows up when the next challenge arrives. The goal is not to avoid trouble but to bend toward it, absorb the hit, and bounce higher. That is how resilience becomes a muscle you can flex on demand. To put this into a simple framework you can use every day: first, label the moment as a setback, not a verdict. Second, engage the emotional shock absorber. 2 calm breaths, shoulders lowered, a quick muscle release. Third, reframe the situation as a puzzle with options, not a slot machine with a permanent loss. Fourth, pick one small next action you can start within the next 15 minutes. Fifth, execute that action and review what changes. This is the core of rapid recovery. Practice it after small mistakes, after big ones, and even after wins that didn't meet your own standards. The aim is steady improvement, not illusionary perfection. With patience and repetition, you'll notice that a single misstep no longer means the end of momentum. Antifragility explained why some systems actually need stress to grow. Antifragility is the idea that some systems grow when stressed. The opposite is fragile. It breaks under pressure. Antifragile things use stress as fuel, not as a threat. Think of the antifragile spring. When pressure comes, the spring stores energy and adds strength. In people and teams, stress sharpens learning and speeds up decisions. Routines become tougher after tough moments. Resilience here is a muscle, not a gift. The bounce-back cycle shows how to recover fast after a setback. First comes the shock. We pause and listen to what the moment is telling us. Next, we adjust our plan and set small, doable steps. Then we rehearse the new way and practice it until it feels natural. We repeat this loop until the new pattern is easier than the old one. Growth shows up when stress is met with clear action. The emotional shock absorber helps keep feelings from derailing action. Sleep, steady routines, and trusted teammates dampen the emotional hit. After a mistake, separate the feeling from the fact. Write what failed, why it failed, and what you will do next, then act on it. That practice lowers the cost of stress and makes learning faster. In sports, a player uses a quick breathing routine, a brief debrief with the coach, and a small tweak in training to bounce back stronger. Anticipating stress turns it from enemy to tool. The antifragile spring grows when pressure rises, but only if you have the right setup. Build redundancy by keeping backup options and keeping skills fresh. Run small experiments to test ideas before a big move. Create feedback loops that catch bad outcomes early and show you where to pivot. Treat stress as teacher, not as punishment. The goal is to be ready to adapt so setbacks become fuel for the next peak, not detours on the way down. The Stoic filter, separating what you can control from what you must accept. Resilience is a muscle, not a gift. It grows stronger the more you use it under pressure. The Stoic filter helps you separate what you can control from what you must accept. It turns chaos into a map you can follow. It isn't about pretending the wind isn't blowing. It's about choosing where you put your energy. Start with a simple anchor. Ask what is in your control and what isn't. Your effort, your choices, your timing, your mindset, and your communication. What someone else does, what luck brings, or what the weather does stays outside the filter. The goal is to direct action to the controllables and to accept the rest with clarity. This keeps your attention on a path you can actually influence, not on a story you can't rewrite. The emotional shock absorber is real. When a setback lands, name the hit and then name the next move in the same breath. A quick pause, a measured breath, then a short, honest statement about your next action. For example, a project delay might make you feel frustrated. You acknowledge the feeling, then decide to reach out to 3 stakeholders with updated plans. You can't control the delay, but you can control the update you send. This pattern reduces drama and keeps momentum alive. The bounce back cycle is how high performers recover fast. Disruption hits, then you regroup. A clear, practical plan follows. Reframe the situation so you can see a usable path forward. Act on that plan, then review what happened and learn. You repeat this cycle and the next setback sinks a little less deep. Think of it as a spring that stores energy during stress and releases it to propel you forward. The antifragile spring shows up when stress exposure becomes a source of strength, not a trigger for collapse. In real life, the filter helps in daily decisions. A sales target is missed. You can't force a client to buy today, but you can sharpen your outreach script, adjust your follow-up cadence, and learn which objections show up most often. A teammate argue with you in a meeting. You can control your tone, timing, and how you summarize points. You can't control their mood. Use the filter to steer the situation toward productive dialogue rather than a heated standstill. A sudden cancellation disrupts your plan. You can still set 3 next step actions and reallocate effort to high priority tasks. Small, steady actions beat big, vague hopes. Resilience is a practice, not an event. Treat it like a muscle you train every day. Build micro-habits that reinforce the filter. Start your day with a 60-second drill. Name the event, list controllables, choose one concrete action, and write a 1-line acceptance of the rest. Keep a brief journal of what worked when you applied the filter and what didn't. Use language that stays practical and hopeful. Short, specific notes beat long, vague goals. Pair the filter with a simple reflection after important meetings or setbacks. That repetition makes the brain lean toward action rather than rumination. Consider this in your coaching toolkit. When the mind wants to overreact, the Stoic filter steps in as a steady hand. The emotional shock absorber dampens the impact and buys you time. The bounce-back cycle turns that time into momentum. The anti-fragile spring reminds you that stress can be a tutor, not a verdict. Resilience is not a gift handed to the lucky. It is a skill you practice until it feels automatic. With the filter in place, you can recover faster, act clearer, and grow tougher with each setback. The 5-minute morning rule, giving yourself a strict deadline to feel bad. Resilience is a muscle you train, not a gift you inherit. After a setback, emotions rise like a loud bell in your chest. A quick, fixed window to feel bad can calm the brain and keep your actions sharp. Think of emotions as an energy flow that can be absorbed and released. The idea is simple. Give yourself 5 minutes to acknowledge the hurt, then pivot to what comes next. The emotional shock absorber helps you take the hit without it knocking you out for hours. Set a timer, name the feeling, and notice the body sensations. When the bell rings, you switch to action. During those 5 minutes, you might jot one sentence about how the setback landed, or trace a quick map of what changed for you. Afterward, you shift to the bounce-back cycle. Identify one small next step, own a concrete plan, and begin immediately. The goal is momentum, not perfection. Each move is a test of your control, a chance to prove the rule works in real time. This approach turns pain into information and fear into motion. In real life, the rule shows up in many forms. A manager loses a key client, and a 5-minute morning window lets the sting fade. Then the plan forms quickly. Reach out to a trusted colleague for feedback, rewrite the proposal, and set a new client contact schedule. An athlete misses a target split, so the clock resets with a breath, a quick analysis of what changed, and a small adjustment to the routine. A creator faces a rejected pitch and spends 5 minutes naming the critique, then drafts a revised concept and schedules a new presentation. The point is not denial but disciplined recovery. The antifragile spring grows stronger each time a setback is felt, then followed by deliberate recovery. The practice builds a reliable framework you can apply anywhere. Create a tiny ritual, a timer, a brief note, and one clear action that can be completed in the next 2 minutes. Track your use of the rule, quiet wins that accumulate into bigger gains. Over time, resilience becomes automatic, a practiced response rather than a lucky break. You'll learn to ride the wave of disappointment and come out ready to lift the next gear. In the end, the goal is to keep your energy intact and your progress intact, so setbacks become steps forward, not dead ends. The pivot mindset, how to instantly turn why me into what now. Resilience is a muscle you train, not a gift. It grows when you face small shocks, recover quickly, and repeat. The pivot mindset is a practical framework that can flip a reaction in seconds. It turns a sting like why me into a plan that starts with what now. Imagine it as a switch you can flip under pressure. You can practice it in real time with 3 moves. First, acknowledge the hit without drowning in drama. Second, name the most important next outcome. Third, take the smallest possible step that moves you toward that outcome. Simple, but powerful. The emotional shock absorber softens the blow at the moment of impact. It begins with naming the emotion, then taking a deliberate breath to calm the system. A quick pause helps you choose the next action instead of reacting on impulse. Collect facts: what happened, what didn't, what you know for sure. From there, pick one tiny action that nudges you forward. For instance, if a key client ends a contract, you pause, gather feedback, and propose a lean next step. A single email to check in, a revised offer, or a quick reallocation of resources can shift momentum. This is not denial. It is preserving energy for the next move. The bounce-back cycle transforms the energy of a setback into clear action. Start by recognizing what changed and what it means for your goals. Then reframe the situation so you see information, not condemnation. That shift makes room for learning rather than blame. Act with a microstep that you can complete right now. Even small wins matter because they create momentum. Finally, reflect on what helped and what didn't, so future shocks trigger less chaos. A product delay becomes data for a faster iteration. A missed target becomes a sharper plan, not a verdict. The anti-fragile spring is the idea that stress can make you stronger, not weaker, when you respond well. Resilience grows from consistent practice, not luck. Treat resilience as a repeatable routine. A short mental check-in at the start of a tough day, a quick post-set review after a big blow, a habit of writing one sentence about what you learned. The pivot mindset thrives in this space. It lets you turn why me into what now by leaning on those 3 moves and the 3 metaphors. The emotional shock absorber, the bounce-back cycle, and the anti-fragile spring together form a simple framework: exposure, pause, action, reflection. And yes, resilience is a muscle you grow, one deliberate, doable step at a time. Reframing failure, seeing every setback as a data point, not a personal verdict. Setbacks provide feedback about your plan, your skills, and your setup, and that feedback helps you adjust. It is data, not your worth. The brain records mismatches between expectation and result as signals you can test, not judgments about who you are. Resilience is a muscle you train. The emotional shock absorber smooths the sting of bad news so you can think clearly. Pause, breathe, name the emotion, decide the next move. This pause turns a raw reaction into a plan. You are choosing control over impulse. Label the setback as a data point. Pull signals from the noise to find what actually changed. Rewrite your story so the setback becomes a guide, not a verdict. Plan the smallest next action that could move you forward. In practice, a high performer treats each miss as a test of technique, not a test of character. A salesperson misses a target, then reviews the call script, the timing, and the follow-up steps to find the real gaps. A student fails a mock exam, and they map out which topics need clearer explanations and more practice, not how they are somehow less capable. An athlete hits a plateau, and they adjust volume, rest, or focus on a crucial skill, not abandon the pursuit. The bounce-back cycle keeps you looping through pause, signal extraction, reframing, and action, so you recover faster each time. The antifragile spring grows stronger under stress because you use every setback to build better habits, better routines, and sharper thinking. Resilience is a practiced routine, a repeatable sequence you can apply again and again. Stress inoculation: how to build mental immunity through small, controlled challenges. Resilience is a muscle that grows with use, not a gift you're born with. Stress inoculation is a method where small, controlled challenges build your mental immunity. Think of it as the emotional shock absorber for the mind, dampening the jolt when stress hits. In practice, you create a loop called the bounce-back cycle: stress tests, quick recovery, then lessons applied. The idea behind the anti-fragile spring is simple. When you face a little pressure and recover well, you come back stronger than before. Small, safe challenges are the fertilizer for that growth. Choose a real but safe stressor that matters to you. Then push just beyond your current comfort in a controlled way. Create a series of tiny drills you can repeat regularly, not once and done. After each drill, note what you learned and where you stalled. Start with a task you can complete with focus and a clear endpoint, like finishing a tough report section or practicing a tricky conversation in a safe setting. Progress gradually, adding a small bump to difficulty only after you feel a hinge point is held. Do these drills often enough that they become a habit, not a test. Pause to collect your thoughts and breathe before you begin, so you stay in control. While you drill, your body learns to regulate itself under pressure. The breath acts as a bridge between nerves and thoughts, keeping the mind steady enough to choose answers instead of knee-jerk reactions. Sleep and light movement become part of the drill, not afterthoughts, because recovery time matters as much as the push itself. Social support matters too. A quick check-in with someone you trust can turn a rough moment into a shared challenge and a faster recovery. You can use immediate after-action notes to capture what helped most: clarity, a calmer breath, a clearer plan, and carry those wins into the next drill. The concept of the anti-fragile spring is visible here. Stress without good recovery leaves a scar. Stress with smart recovery leaves you tougher, more flexible, and more capable next time. Calibrate, expose, reflect, adjust. Calibrate means pick the starting point honestly and choose a limit you won't exceed. Expose means step into the drill, not pretend it isn't happening. Reflect means after each session, name one clear takeaway and one small change you will make. Adjust means apply that change in the next round and let the cycle deepen. This is how you build a repeatable path to rapid recovery from setbacks. Remember, resilience isn't a secret power, it's a practice sequence. The more you run this loop, the more your mind learns to absorb shocks without breaking, and the faster you bounce back. The recovery cycle. Why rest is the secret weapon of the resilient. Rest speeds repair and learning after stress. The body uses rest to reset the system and reduce the cost of the setback. The emotional shock absorber helps here, softening the first hit so you can think clearly. When a plan falls apart, the next move is a calm pause. Rest is a tool, not a reward. It works best when treated as deliberate practice for the nervous system. In high performers, rest is planned, not optional. Think of the recovery cycle as a loop: shock, pause, learn, adjust, and repeat. The bounce-back cycle is your rhythm of effort followed by recovery. In the moment of failure, name the emotion, then let it fade. This is where the anti-fragile spring shows up, a small dose of stress that builds resilience over time. The goal is not to avoid pain, but to shorten its stay and reset quickly. A clear pause makes the next move sharper. Rest creates the conditions for sharper focus and quicker skill reuse. After a setback, try a brief reset, slow breath, grounding, and a quick inventory of what changed and what stayed the same. Then move into a light, purposeful recovery plan: hydration, good nutrition, mobility work, and sleep-friendly routines. Use social support as an engine. A quick check-in with a trusted teammate or coach can reframe the problem and unlock options. The anti-fragile spring thrives on small, manageable challenges kept within a safe zone. Small wins compound into confidence. An example: a runner who rests, reviews the day, and comes back with a plan uses lessons from the setback rather than letting it replay in the mind. Here is a lean framework you can apply today. First, register the setback honestly, then create a pause that feels safe. Second, perform a brief reset to calm the nervous system. Third, translate the setback into a practical one-line adjustment to your plan. Fourth, re-enter at a level you can handle, then build from there. Fifth, track 2 or 3 tiny wins so the next failure feels smaller. Resilience is a muscle, not a gift. You train it with rhythm, rest, and honest practice. The recovery cycle turns rest into your secret weapon, and the bounce-back cycle keeps momentum moving forward. You don't avoid the storm, you become the ship that thrives in it. Resilience is a muscle that grows with practice, not a gift handed to a few. High performers bounce back faster because they train it as a daily discipline. They use simple routines to cushion the blast of a setback and to keep moving. You don't avoid the storm, you become the ship that thrives in it. The emotional shock absorber helps dampen hurts before they harden into fear. When a project falters, they pause, breathe, and name what happened in plain terms. Resilience is a muscle, not a gift, so it grows when you train it under pressure. The bounce-back cycle begins with a pause. Then you regulate the nervous system with simple breathing and steady posture. Next, you reframe the setback as data, not doom. Finally, you take a tiny action that moves the plan forward. A concrete example: if a client call is missed, the next step might be a quick 5-minute review of the outreach script and a fresh, small message to re-engage. That is the cycle in motion, easy to start, hard to stop once it gains rhythm. Over time, cycles compound and speed up recovery without sacrificing clarity or direction. The anti-fragile spring is the idea that small, controlled stress makes you tougher, not more fragile. Stress put through a safe channel builds what you might call springiness in the system. High performers stack tiny challenges in safe doses and allow quick recovery to follow. This isn't about reckless risk, it's about purposeful exposure. A professional might add a brief new task to the week, then couple it with solid rest and recovery. In practice, the storms become fuel when you have wind in your sails and a ready crew to trim them. Here is a practical framework for rapid recovery from setbacks. First, acknowledge the impact without judgment. Then apply the emotional shock absorber. Take a few calm breaths, let shoulders settle, and plant your feet firmly. Next, run the bounce-back cycle. Name the smallest next action, take it, and then check what changed. If possible, seek quick feedback from a trusted teammate or coach. After that, introduce a controlled challenge to grow the skill. That is the anti-fragile spring in action. Add a tiny extra task, then rest and recover. Finish with a brief debrief. What happened? What worked? What to adjust next time? Build this sequence into a daily routine so it becomes automatic. With consistency, recovery tightens, and you hold a high level of performance even when setbacks arrive. Resilience is a muscle, not a gift. The emotional shock absorber helps you feel the hit without getting stuck. The bounce-back cycle gives you 4 simple moves to recover fast. The anti-fragile spring shows how stress can lift you higher when you use it right. Start with the basics you can use today. Pause and name what happened. Then take a calm breath to settle the body. Reframe the moment. What can I learn? What small next step can I take right now? Plan one tiny action you can complete in the next few minutes. Do that action, and then rest into your recovery routine. Sleep, movement, and steady meals that keep your engine running. After a short window, review what helped and adjust your next steps. That loop, pause, reframe, act, recover, is the bounce-back cycle in action. If you've ever felt blindsided by a setback, you're not alone. You're here because you want to perform better, and you can. You have a clear toolset to shorten the dip and rise again quickly. The goal isn't perfection, it's momentum through effort, repetition, and smart choices. If this landed for you, a small action now can keep the momentum going. Hit like so I know it helped, subscribe for more practical coaching, and share a comment about one tiny step you'll take tonight to start your bounce-back cycle. Mention the setback you faced if you're comfortable. That way we can tailor future tips to your real world. Looking ahead, I'll show you how to build your personal resilience plan with concrete routines you can train every day. We'll walk through real case studies from high performers, and I'll host a live Q&A to answer your specific hurdles. Short, practical sessions that keep the anti-fragile spring in check and your progress moving. Now go apply this tonight. Pick one small action, start the bounce-back cycle, and wake up ready to rebuild stronger. You've got this, and I'll be right here with you for the next steps.